Super rare snooker shot, but it's actually genius. These shots shouldn't be possible, but they happen and they're absolutely genius. Let's break down the most mind-blowing snooker moments ever caught on camera. Welcome back to the channel, snooker fans. If you love rare moments, clever escapes, and pure magic on the table, you're in for a treat. Today we're diving into some of the most extraordinary snooker shots ever played. The kind of shots that make you pause, rewind, and ask, how did they even do that? From Ronnie O'Sullivan's perfect 147 magic, to Jimmy White's unbelievable mass, to crazy flukes that somehow worked out, each one is a masterclass in skill, strategy, or pure instinct. We'll break down how they pulled it off, why it's so rare, and what made each shot special. Even if you've seen some of these before, you're going to see them in a whole new way. So grab your cue, or just your popcorn, and let's get into it. At number 1, we have Ronnie O'Sullivan, the 147 Black Cushion Masterstroke 1997 World Championship. In the 1997 World Championship at the Crucible, Ronnie O'Sullivan was on the verge of a maximum 147 break, needing to pot every red with black. During this historic run, the fastest 147 ever recorded, Ronnie faced a tricky situation. The pink ball was stuck near its spot, glued to a red. With virtually no angle to maneuver after potting a black, Ronnie pulled off a stunning positional shot. He hammered the black ball into the corner pocket, using the bottom cushion and heavy spin on the cue ball. The white ball took an unnatural path, bouncing off the cushion, and then ticking the pink just enough to free it, all while landing perfectly for the next red. The 147 break itself was historic, and this shot was the pivotal moment in it. Missing or failing to move the pink would have ended the run. Instead, Ronnie's creativity kept the break going, and he completed maximum moments later. That's Ronnie at his absolute best. Fearless, creative, and totally in control. But if you thought that was crazy, wait till you see what Jimmy White did next. At number 2, we have Jimmy White, the legendary massé escape, 1993 Matchroom League. Jimmy the Whirlwind. White produced a jaw-dropping mass shot in an early 1990s Matchroom League match in Hamburg, Germany. He was playing a 17-year-old Ronnie O'Sullivan and found himself snookered, the cue ball hidden behind another ball, with no direct path to his target ball. Rather than concede a foul, Jimmy did something rarely seen in serious matches. He attempted a mass. This is a trick shot where the cue is held almost vertically, striking down on the cue ball to make it curve. It was a perfect blend of showmanship and skill, highlighting why White was such a fan favorite. Now that is how you answer pressure with pure flair. But it's not just flair that wins matches, sometimes it takes a touch of magic, and Shaun Murphy brought that in style. At number 3, we have Shaun Murphy Triple Cushion Sidewinder Pot 2017 World Championship. Shaun the Magician. Murphy lived up to his nickname with a spectacular 3-cushion pot at the 2017 World Championship. In a second-round Crucible match against Ronnie O'Sullivan, Murphy was trailing 3-1 in frames and desperately needed something special to spark a comeback. He found himself snookered behind the yellow with one red ball near the left middle pocket as his only target. A direct hit wasn't possible, so Murphy plotted an ingenious route. He aimed the cue ball off one cushion, then another, essentially going around the table with loads of side spin. What made it special? A 3-cushion escape pot with heavy side spin. Murphy went off 2 cushions, side and top rails, and even brushed a 3rd cushion to pot a red that seemed impossible to hit. Murphy was behind in the match and needed a momentum changer. By pulling off this shot of the championship contender, he showed incredible skill under pressure, though Murphy ultimately lost the match. This pot became one of the most memorable highlights of the 2017 tournament. When geometry meets genius, that's what you get. But how about a plant shot so good, you might not believe it was even planned? Mark Williams has one for the history books. At number 4, we have Mark Williams, the upside-down V-plant, 2018 World Championship Final. In the 2018 World Championship Final at the Crucible, Mark Williams demonstrated an extraordinary shot-making vision. Williams, known for phenomenal potting, surprised everyone with a rare kind of plant, effectively a 2-ball combo that had an unconventional path. Facing John Higgins in a tense final, Williams came across a layout where two red balls were lined up far apart. Instead of a straightforward pot, he took on a long-distance plant. He hit one red at the bottom of the table to make it cannon into the other red and send that second red into a pocket. This was on snooker's biggest stage, the Crucible Final. Williams was showcasing not just potting skill, but creative vision. At a critical juncture of a championship match, attempting such a low-percentage shot was bold. Pulling it off gave Williams a surge of confidence, and he eventually won the world title 18-16 in one of the classic finals. A plant from another planet. Speaking of the impossible, this next one from Ronnie O'Sullivan is the kind of thing you try once in your life. And probably missed. Not him though. At number 5, we have Ronnie O'Sullivan 1 in 100 plant, 2017 Masters Final. Even Ronnie O'Sullivan's standard brilliance can produce moments of magic. In the 2017 Masters Final in London, an elite invitational event, Ronnie faced Joe Perry. The third frame looked to be wrapped up in Ronnie's favor. He was ahead in points and on a break, but he had a problem. The remaining reds were in awkward pairs, stuck together. It wasn't obvious how he could pot another red to continue his break, but Ronnie, always the showman, saw something no one else did. What made it special? A ridiculously tough plant of one red onto another into the pocket, at a moment when all reds seemed tied up. Executing this gave Ronnie a century break when it looked like the break might end. This was a major final with a big title at stake. Instead of playing safe, Ronnie chose an audacious shot to keep the break going and entertain the crowd. His ability to see and make such a shot under pressure showcases why he's considered a snooker genius. It was a huge momentum swing, and already one frame turned into a highlight reel moment. 1 in 100? Maybe for most people, but Ronnie made it look like a walk in the park. Now here's a shot that made jaws drop, literally Stephen Maguire's jaw escape. At number 6, we have Stephen Maguire jaw-defying escape, 2024 World Championship. Sometimes a tactical escape shot can be just as extraordinary as a pot. Stephen Maguire provided a prime example in the 2024 World Championship first round against Ali Carter. In one frame, Carter had Maguire in all sorts of trouble. The cue ball was snookered behind the green ball, tight on the cushion. Several reds remained, but Maguire had no direct path to hit any of them without fouling. What Maguire did next had never been seen quite like this on snooker's biggest stage. With no obvious route, Maguire aimed at the jaw of a corner pocket, effectively using the mouth of the pocket as an extra cushion. He fired the cue ball hard into the jaws of the bottom left pocket. The white ball rattled in the pocket opening and came out with altered direction and reduced speed. From there it spiraled down the table, bouncing off two cushions, and managed to strike one of the reds near the pink spot. Astonishingly, after contacting the red, the cue ball even drifted back up table to safety, coming to rest near the top cushion, leaving Ali Carter without a clear shot. What made it special? An innovative escape using the corner pocket jaws to change the cue ball's path. Maguire turned a seemingly hopeless snooker into a safe outcome by essentially inventing a new angle via the pocket. Who even thinks of using the pocket jaws as a cushion? That's just wild dot. But for Alex Higgins, wild was just another day at the office. His next shot is pure Hurricane Higgins. At number 7, we have Alex Higgins around the angles brown, 1980s classic moment. Alex Hurricane Higgins, a two-time world champion, was famous for his flamboyant and creative shots. One legendary Higgins moment often cited occurred in the 1980s, an around the angles pot on the brown ball that left everyone speechless. Higgins had a relatively easy brown to a middle pocket available, but in true showman style, he chose a far flashier option. Instead of the simple pot, he sent the brown ball around the table, intentionally missing the easy pocket and using multiple cushions to find another pocket. In this exhibition-style shot, Higgins struck the brown with plenty of power and side spin. The brown zoomed past the intended pocket, traveled to the far end cushion, then bounced across to the adjacent side cushion, rolling all the way up to the top corner pocket and dropped in cleanly into the top right pocket. The audacity of this shot had the audience roaring with delight. It's the kind of thing you'd attempt in a fun practice session, not in a serious match. Yet Higgins was renowned for pulling off such low-percentage shots successfully. What made it special? A trick shot like pot in a real match. Higgins eschewed an easy pot to pot the brown in an unorthodox pocket, sending it 3 cushions around the table. That was vintage Higgins style, drama, and perfect execution. But now, let's slow it down and appreciate a different kind of brilliance.
John Higgins with a tactical masterpiece. At number 8, we have John Higgins' precision snooker behind the black, masterful safety. Not all great shots are pots, some are brilliant safety plays. John Higgins, one of the sport's greatest tacticians, gave a masterclass in precision during a match against Marco Fu. Higgins led 3-2 in a best-of-7 encounter, but in the 6th frame he was trailing 46-60 in points. With only the pink and black balls left on the table, Higgins needed 1 snooker to have a chance of winning, since potting the remaining balls wasn't enough to catch up. What he did next is remembered as a stroke of tactical genius. Higgins played the pink ball in such a way as to use the entire length of the table for a safety. He struck the pink so it traveled up and down the table and came to rest tucked directly behind the black ball, which was near a corner pocket. In snooker terms, he achieved a deadly snooker. The cue ball was glued behind the black, making it extremely difficult for Marco Fu to hit the pink on his next shot. The placement had to be inch-perfect, too hard or too soft, and the pink wouldn't land in that ideal spot. But Higgins's flawless cue ball control made it happen. What made it special? A picture-perfect snooker laid by sending the pink ball behind the black, achieving a near-impossible situation for the opponent. The precision and touch required were extraordinary. Not all genius comes from potting. Sometimes it's the safety game that wins the award. But now let's go back to the heat of a 147 with Stephen Hendry's perfect pink to black. At number 9, we have Stephen Hendry, perfect pink to black for a 147, 1995 World Championship. Stephen Hendry, the king of the 1990s, delivered countless big breaks, but 1 shot in his 1995 World Championship semi-final versus Jimmy White stands out for its difficulty under pressure. Hendry was on a maximum 147 break, which itself is a rare feat, and had only the pink and black balls left to pot. A 147 is the ultimate break, and at the Crucible it's even more special. On the second-to-last shot, after potting the final red and its color, Hendry found himself with a tricky pink. He was a bit out of ideal position, neither here nor there, betwixt and between, as they say. He needed to pot the pink and still get position on the black, which was at the opposite end of the table. The natural potting angle on the pink wouldn't automatically send the cue ball nicely for the black, so Hendry had to conjure perfect pace and spin. He stroked the pink into the middle pocket and made the cue ball travel up and down the table, going in and out of the bulk area, the distant half of the table, to come back down for the black. The weight of the shot was critical too hard, and the cue ball might have overrun position. Too soft, and he'd be left with a tough black. Incredibly, Hendry judged it to perfection. The cue ball rolled down and stopped ideally for the final black. What made it special? A high-pressure positional shot on the pink ball to get to the final black for a 147. Hendry had to go up and down the table with exact speed control. Many consider it as clutch as any pot in that break. This was the first 147 ever made in a World Championship semi-final, and doing it against his great rival Jimmy White added drama.
The tension was enormous. 1 slight error on the pink, and the maximum was gone. Hendry's successful execution showcased why he was the dominant player of his era, thriving on pressure. That cue ball control, under pressure, just next level. But we're not done. 1 last shot, and it's another Ronnie classic. Watch closely, because this one is all about the spin. At number 10, we have Ronnie O'Sullivan check side blue to red, 2017 English Open. Our final shot returns to Ronnie O'Sullivan, this time highlighting his sublime cue ball control. In the 2017 English Open, a ranking event, Ronnie produced what many called the shot of the tournament. During one of his matches, on his way to winning the title, Ronnie was in a break but faced a dilemma. The frame was not yet secure. Remaining balls could still let the opponent back in. He was about to pot a blue ball, but he needed to get position on a red that was stuck tight on the side cushion in order to continue the break and eventually win the frame. A standard pot on the blue would leave the cue ball too far away or at the wrong angle on that difficult red. So Ronnie employed some magic in the form of check side spin that checks or holds the cue ball's angle off the cushion. He potted the blue and loaded the cue ball with lots of left-hand side spin, since the red was on the right side cushion. Left side spin would straighten the cue ball's path after hitting the rail. The white ball zipped off the cushion, but instead of following the usual angle, the side spin caused it to bend its trajectory, almost as if it had a GPS directing it. The cue ball headed directly towards the red on the cushion, gently nudging it into play or into a pottable position. This way Ronnie could pot that red next and continue his break. That's it. Cue ball wizardry at its finest. Ronnie made the cue ball dance exactly how he wanted, and it's the perfect way to wrap up this list of super rare genius. These moments are a reminder of why snooker captivates its fans. Whether it's a nerveless pot, a clever escape, or a bit of tactical genius, great shots live on in snooker folklore. Each of these shots involved a combination of skill, creativity, and sometimes a dash of luck. They're the kind of highlights you can watch over and over, still shaking your head in disbelief. Hopefully this journey through super rare snooker shots has rekindled your appreciation for the genius on the green baize and maybe inspired you to attempt a few crazy shots down at the local club. Just remember to chalk your cue if you're trying a mass. Which one blew your mind the most? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more insane snooker moments, and share this video with a fellow fan. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the game.